All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to September's meeting, Community Service Commission meeting. First order would be call to order.
Commissioner Phillips Martinez.
Present.
Commissioner Scarborough Echo. Present. Vice Chairperson Ordian.
Present.
And Chairperson Barraza is absent at the moment.
So the first order would be, I'm going to ask Commissioner please to please allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any commissioner comments?
I have one. I would like to recommend that we remove the park updates from our future meetings, as I don't believe that we're providing any additional information to the community. I would just recommend that the police department and parks departments let us know if there's any issues that are going on in the parks.
Anyone would like to comment on that? It's kind of a good idea to do this, but what we can add is if there is any issues, any problem, maybe we can bring it up here or we'll let Jim know ahead of time. So, but yeah, if that's the idea, we just have to vote for that or?
No, you don't have to vote for it. You just, everyone has to agree on that. As you see something at a park, the protocol is still the same. You can email me and I will email Mike and give any issues or problems that you might have. Plus, during your commissioner comments that we're on right now, if you want to give praise to, how the parks look or something like that, that's fine as well. But it's totally up to you guys whether that's going to be good. It just needs to be a consensus between you three right here, whether you want to remove that from the agenda and just keep it in as your comments and call me with issues, or to keep it in and keep reporting.
I have no problem with that. I agree with Commissioner Phillips Martinez. If we're not providing any pertinent information at the time, then it's no problem with it.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. Next, I'm going to ask if there's any public comments.
There are none.
All right. Our chairperson, Kim.
For the record, Chairperson Barraza joined the meeting at 5:33.
Okay, while she's getting situated, so minutes, last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 19th, 2022 meeting.
And a second. Okay.
I'll second the motion, yes.
Okay, well, then it's approved.
It'll be a roll call vote. You got to vote for that. Roll call vote.
We have a motion by Chairperson Scarborough Echo, a second by, I believe it was Commissioner Phillips Martinez.
Correct.
Commissioner Phillips Martinez, Commissioner Scarborough Echo,
Aye.
Chairperson Ordian,
Aye.
and Chairperson Barraza.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. For some reason, I thought that it was only going to be held via Zoom. And then I was like, no, it says in person too, which was odd. But thank you for joining us. We are going to go ahead and move with item number 6, presentations. 6.1, we have Shields Park project request for proposal. And we have Leila Namvar from Public Arts Analyst presenting on this item.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson and members of the Community Services Commission. As you said, my name is Leila Namvar. My title has been changed, so I'm very proud of it, from Senior Planner to Public Arts Analyst. So just want to say that for the record. So I have a presentation before you tonight. So, as you recall, Shields Park is at the end of Avenue 46 and Shields Road. It's a park that it will connect to the future CV Link. So CV Link will go behind, there will be a bridge that connects the La Quinta to Indio on the channel. And then the bikes will go on basically the south bank of the channel. And then if people would like to come into the park and then get into the city streets, they can do that from that entrance on the narrow portion of the park. So that's why the arts program thought it would be a good opportunity to create a functional sculpture that could be for gathering. The fund allocated to this project is $50,000 from Public Arts Fund. And we created a request for proposal that was released on August 11th, and the deadline was yesterday. We also have an ad hoc committee which go through the proposals and then select the 3 finalists. We will discuss who are the 3 finalists with the commission, or maybe we just discuss the final artist with the Community Services Commission for the blessing. I also would like to mention that the city's public arts program has a work plan, a yearly work plan that outlines the carryover projects from last year, ongoing projects, outlines new projects for the upcoming fiscal year. The projects are based on the priorities that outlines in a draft document that we call it Public Art Strategic Plan that has not been approved by the council, but basically the perimeter of it is to provide opportunity for local artists and then bring art to the community and to the infrastructure of the city. And also based on the availability of fund, the plan talk about the overall budget, brief description of each project, location, and also it gets approved by the city council. So that Shields project was approved in April as part of the work plan by the city council, and the budget was allocated by the city council. I'm working on the draft work plan for this coming fiscal year. So if the commission has any comments, suggestion for anything that we can incorporate into our work plan, that will be the time from now to probably end of the year to send me an email, and then we can discuss it and then put it on the plan. It goes to the Arts Commission. The Arts Commission recommends approval to the council. Council reviews it. If they basically see appropriate, they approve and provide, appropriate the fund. In what we imagining for the parks is just things like that. The left image is a library in a park, which is a shaded structure with shelves. People put books there, and then it's a community, basically dedicated books, and then kids can come see it, get to read it, and enjoy while they're sitting in a park. The middle one is an artist from Brazil that makes this colorful statues that they are made by recycled material. And the other one is just a flower box, but it looks like a bird. So these are things that it could be incorporated into the parks or into the public arts that we are looking for. With that, I'm open for any comments or questions from the commission. Thank you.
Go ahead and start with my right, Commissioner. Any comments?
Layla, I was just wondering how you said you already have 3 finalists for.
No,
or you're going to.
Yeah, the deadline ended yesterday.
Okay.
So I believe we received only 2, if I'm not mistaken. So again, it goes through the process to see ad hoc committee want to, pick from them, or they want to open it again for a longer time, but nothing has been selected yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Phillips Martinez?
Yes, regarding the Shields project, I don't necessarily think that we need to be involved in the selection of the piece itself. But I do think in projects moving forward, before the Arts Commission goes out and requests an RFP or does anything that relates to a specific placement in a park or within our purview, we should authorize that first before it goes out to some type of proposal process, rather than being notified after the fact.
So because the city council has approved it, so we went out. But if that's the direction from you, I can discuss it with the Arts Commission as well to see what they say. Because as I said, it was approved by the city council.
Vice Chairperson Ordian, any comments?
Yes, well, it's beautiful. The question was actually how it's going to benefit the community. I like the part of being a library over there because that's how we can engage kids. They can read. So I think it's a good project.
So just to clarify, those are just samples that we are thinking in the future. So we may not get that a specific piece, but again, that library, it's already been built somewhere else. But there are other ways to bring that a kiosk library to each of the parks and then make it artistic as well. That's actually one of my favorites. Because it will be also a community-generated literature for that specific area. But just want to let you know that we try to think a little bit outside the box here. And as I said, that's why it's the good time now to get your proposals for specific park. For example, Shields Park also has a really large area of seating, benches and tables, which look really not inviting, but just painting it with colorful paints, or bring an artist to say how we can woven some interest into already existing infrastructure, that will make it interesting as well. So those are the things that we like to do. So the parks better. So send us your proposals or your suggestions that we can incorporate into the public arts.
Yeah, just to finish, the whole point is how to attract people to come to the park, and especially families with kids. I think that having a library over there would be really nice because all the statues are great, but it might not attract many people because, coming here with kids, reading a book, so something to consider. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, and I do have some questions as well. You mentioned that you were going to choose 3 out of all the submissions, but you've only received 2. Will the commission be moving forward with just those 2, or will you be opening it up, extending?
So it is based on the commission decision. So still we need to go through the process and then go before the commission and say, for example, we only got 2 and this is one that we pick. Would you like to go forward with this choice, or would you like to open it for longer time? So I can tell you after October meeting, I can send probably Mr. Curtis an email so he can share it with you all.
Okay. And you mentioned the timeline for it is 18 months. That's 18 months from when you choose an artist or you start the project, or is it the 18 months from the opening?
18 months from the time that we choose the artist. Due to our weather, in the heat, no concrete can cure, nothing can be installed. So fabrication and installation. So this may go to the next fiscal year for installation.
Okay. Thank you. And I want to echo a little some of the concerns from my fellow commissioners that this was approved back in April. So it's been April, May, June, July, August, September. It was 5 months before it made it to our commission. And I don't think it's our intention to decide on what our piece, but I think that just an early on communication with us, it doesn't have to be necessarily official, but just keeping us in the loop. Of course, we all try to keep up with like city council meetings, but it's important to make sure that we open those ways of communication, because I think that even if it's not in the actual art piece, I think that all of us here actually have very good input and would like to be involved on where maybe the design, where the art piece should be located within the park, or just some other details, and just to be, a little bit more knowledgeable of these projects, especially when we have constituents or, residents asking about it. And we're, if you miss that meeting on April 6th, then maybe we have no idea what's going on.
Sure, I'll do that, but that also gives you guys a good reason to pay attention to city council meetings. I'm just kidding. No, I can actually provide. I provide weekly report to my boss, Scott Trujillo. I can send a monthly report to Jim so he can share it with you guys. So that's fine. But again, when something gets approved by the city council, I think you guys know it already. It's been approved. It's been appropriated. So we went there, we got the RFP, and then now we are informing that this is what will happen. Also, in our joint meeting that we had about a year ago, we communicated that we have programs for the parks and things like that. So I apologize if you were not involved directly, but from now on, we make sure that you guys involved directly. And as I said, I can also send a monthly report to Mr. Curtis that can share with you.
Yeah, thank you, Leila. And it's not anything like particularly with you. It's just overall with like the communication, just, making sure that it happens. Yeah.
I didn't take it personally at all.
I just saw your face change. Just kidding.
That's due to age.
All righty.
So again, I can provide that with you if you would like. That won't be a problem.
Thank
we
you.
can share it. What do you call it? Before it goes out.
Thank you, Leila.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on, we have another presentation, item 6.2, Dr. Carrion Park Improvements. We have Mike Edgards from Parks and Landscape Supervisor. Let's see.
Good evening. I'm Mike Edgar, the Park and Landscape Supervisor. And what I'd like to go through is we've got a couple of options for a play toy. We have a net climber that's worn. We need to replace it. And so this is a picture of the net climber that we've got now. And the nylon coating is wearing away and the steel core is starting to show. So it's time for replacement. So option one, we've got two options here. Option one has no shade. So here we like to have shade. So that's, and then it has fewer play opportunities. In both options, we're going to replace the fall surface because the fall height of the new options is higher than what was there. So it has to be a little thicker. And the install cost on option one is $99,470. For option number two, this one includes the shade. It has more play opportunities for the kids. And also the fall surface is being replaced. And then the install cost is a little more expensive at $165. Oops. So this is option one. You can see that there's no shade and it looks like a fun climber. And it fits within the square that we've got. We have a concrete curb around the original installation, so we have to work within that space. And here is option number two. So you can see the shade, and there's like a slide and a couple of climbers off to the side. Plus, there's a climber in the center. So there's a lot more option for play. A lot more kids can be on that play toy. And it also fits within the curve that's there. And so let's see. I guess what I'd like to ask the council, or not the council, but the commission, which option you would like us to go for.
Can you put them back on the screen? There you go.
Oh, looks like we've got option 1 there.
Mhm.
So that's the one without the shade, the fewer play options. And then this is the option number 2, which I don't know if you can see the plan, but you can see that there's things attached to the core of the unit that the kids could play on,
Mhm.
as well as the climber in the core.
I can see that. Commissioner, any comments?
Option 2, obviously it's similar to the one at Patton Park and it gets used throughout the entire summer. So, and when there's no shade, I know kids don't want to touch that. So I'm going to go with option number 2.
To my left, any comments?
I have a question, actually. The floor is padded.
Yes, what it is a rubber surfacing. And so the surfacing that is there now will be totally removed because we have to put in a thicker surface because the fall height of both options is higher than the original net climber.
Good. The second question is, what about the parents? Are they going to be sitting somewhere or while kids are playing?
Yes, there are benches there. When we did phase 1 of the improvements, there's kind of a little plaza area there and there's benches. So the parents can watch.
All right. I'll go with option 2 with benches.
Go ahead.
Definitely option 2. I think you're inviting a lot more of the community to participate and use the facility. And if you have children of different ages, which I do, having one structure that only applies to one age group would not be as effective if we're replacing it. Let's invite more of the community to come down. Option 2.
And we do have other play toys in that area. So
Right.
this will enhance the play value of the park.
I personally like the design of option number 1, but I think that because of our weather here and just, option number 2 would be best just because of the shade structure. And so I would have to go with option number 2 as well. You mentioned that the cost is higher. Is there a limit or are we capping it at any?
No, there's no limit. And what I'll do is put together a staff report with option number 2. And in the report, I'll mention that the commission has recommended option number 2.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And I believe this is not an item we need to vote on, right? Okay. Well, thank you, Mike. Any other comments, questions? No? We'll go ahead and move to the next item. Thank you. All righty. Item number 7, administrative items. 7.1 is approve and recommend to the city council 2 locations for pickleball courts in the city of Indio, 2 courts at Patton Park and 4 courts at Miles Avenue Park. And we have staff report by Jim. Thank you.
So yeah, the staff report was connected, and I think you all got that as well. If you recall back in May or June when City Council had a study session on the budget, they had money in there for pickleball courts. They were just looking at different locations. There were a couple locations that were talked about at that study session, and then our Mike Edgar, actually, who just left, he came with some pricing on options. So I am here to present to you on what Mike presented to us on the cost and the location. So currently Patton Park has 1 tennis court that is not used very much, hardly at all is what I understand. And with the Patton Park with 1 tennis court, they can make 2 pickleball courts at that location. So first one is that one for 2 courts. There'd be prepping, painting, fencing, windscreen replace, posts and nets for pickleball. And that cost is $141,320. The other location would be at the Miles Avenue Park, where we have 2 full-size basketball courts currently. And They get used a little bit. Not both courts usually at one time. It's usually really only one court that I see that people playing on. So we're looking at transforming one of the basketball courts into 4 pickleball courts. 4 pickleball courts can fit within the scope of the one basketball court. So it would be keeping the one basketball court so people can still play basketball there, but turning the other one into 4 pickleball courts. And that again would include fencing, courts, windscreen, posts, and to separate the basketball court from the pickleball court. And that cost for that is $423,915. Doing both of those is well below the budget of that was passed for pickleball courts that they talked about in May and June, and then the budget got passed and approved in June. And then if there's some net costs or net repairs, there might be some windscreens that might be repaired. Mike came with an annual maintenance cost for about $5,000 for that, which is a really good price. We wouldn't have to do anything with the courts for probably at least a few years, depending on what the sun does to them. But your maintenance would just be for if there's windscreens that are torn because of the wind, or if somebody messes with the fencing, we have that money in the budget for annual maintenance. So we are looking to recommend to City Council both those proposals. And when they do I don't think I'll be doing that staff report, perhaps. And if I do, and whoever does it will be putting in that you recommend or approve the staff report and what's proposed here. If not, we can certainly talk about that as well. So I am here to answer any questions that you may have.
Commissioner Scarborough Echo.
I guess I actually have a rebuttal against the tennis court being used at Patton Park, because I think maybe during the day there's not a lot of traffic there, but I know in the evening there's actually a lot of kids from Shadow Hills High School that do use that tennis court, and I think they'd be pretty upset if it turned into a pickleball court. And I know I'm like the one was really gung-ho about pickleball, but I think that one tennis court should stay just because there is a lot of use of it in the evening for those kids. And I don't know how they would feel if it would turn into a pickleball court. Obviously they could probably stay at the high school and do that, but I think that's probably easier for them because it's near their home, it's walkable. So that's the only thing I have to say about that. As far as Miles Park, I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. Vice Chairperson Ordian.
Well, I think I kind of agree with person. So I think Miles Park's probably the best because we still need to have a tennis court here. If we're going to be using 2 parks and we're not going to have a tennis courts here, so at least maybe we just move to Miles Avenue Park and then have leave the tennis courts in the one over there. Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Phillips Martinez.
I would be curious to know how Mike chose the locations, if we had more information as to what went into those locations, how he chose those, or what the thought process was behind that.
It actually came up through council. So Mike just did the due diligence on the cost of it, but it came up through council with one of our council members that said that same thing, that there weren't a lot of people that use that. He did mention there were some kids from Shadow Hills High School. They have their own tennis courts at the high school, obviously, that they can use. It is a big community up there. Some seniors, a lot of seniors in that area as well. So I think they just looked at the use of the park and who might use it more. Some students at Shadow Hills, or some kids playing tennis, or adults and the senior population that we have that would use the pickleball court. So it was just was asked to get a price for that, and I can certainly take back your recommendations. But we do have other tennis courts within the city. We have 4 tennis courts down at Jackson Park, South Jackson Park. And there's again, Shadow Hills High School has tennis courts that public can use if they want to, and just need to make arrangements with USD. And then again, the golf course is right there as well too, by Patton Park.
For me is I don't know if it doesn't necessarily make sense, or maybe I'm just not looking at it the same perspective as why transform some spaces that are already being used when we have other underdeveloped parks? I'm thinking of Cahuilla. we have some basketball courts there, and I mean, they have the space for maybe pickleball courts, maybe adjacent to that. So I'm not sure if maybe we can, find out how much it would cost to actually build some instead of just converting some of these basketball courts or tennis courts into pickleball.
Yeah, pickleball courts, to build brand new ones, new fencing, like the fencing that we're talking about, the two are already there, or just need to be a little bit repaired. I think there's some cuts in the chain link, but putting in lighting that we already have at the other two parks, to put in a new court, fencing, posts, cement, and give up some grass space if we're going to use it at some other parks. These are ones where you don't give up any open space that can be used for soccer, football, things like that, and to not do that and use existing areas that we could just roll over into pickleball. If you read the staff report, pickleball is again one of the fastest growing sports in America right now. Everybody's talking pickleball right now. And so they know that Freedom Park in Palm Desert, the La Quinta Park, Fritz Burns Park, I think it's called, in La Quinta, they have 150 to 100 people there every night playing pickleball at those courts. And we certainly don't have that many kids that are playing basketball and tennis on the courts that are proposed right here. So, we want to try to compete with those guys and bring people here to Indio to play this game that is just, I don't know if any of you have played it before, but it's very popular. Our senior center right now, we have an indoor pickleball court that we do on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We started on Wednesdays and have moved into Mondays and Fridays because it got to be so popular. We have 20, 30 people playing usually on Wednesdays. Mondays and Fridays, we usually have anywhere from 15 to 20 that play. So it is very popular sport. There's a lot of young kids that play pickleball at Freedom Park. I've been there playing with them. There's a lot of older folks as well. I'm one of those older folks, but it's definitely an easier sport than tennis, I believe. It's easier on the knees. It's easier you don't have to run as much. That's why it's so popular and becoming more and more popular as we speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my concern with Miles Park is that, I feel like we all kind of know why it's underused, right? Some family members or some families do not believe that it's safe to be out there. And so I wonder if that narrative is going to change if we put in pickleball courts where maybe they'll just sit there and not be used. And I would hate to take away an amenity that's already there. And I do see folks out there playing basketball and replacing it with a sport that to attract outsiders instead of actually feed into the local or the adjacent communities to the park. But so we need to make a motion to approve the recommendation, or we can go ahead and amend it a little. Any comments on that?
I can see why staff has proposed this in the sense that it is a growing sport. There has been a lot of interest that has come before our commission and come before the council. So I do believe it would substantially increase the amount of people that come to our parks and the use of them, and people from our local city and around our city. So although it might be a change for some of the people who currently use the parks, I think in the long run, providing activities for some of our older people would be a good idea as well. And it is a very popular sport. So that's my comment.
Any other comments, questions?
Just a question, Jim. So those are the two parks. So this is the idea is to build in both parks, not to choose the one, right?
Right. They were looking to have one on the north side of the freeway, which would be the Patton Park, and then the south side of the freeway, which would be Miles Avenue Park.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm torn. I just think if I'm thinking about if I was still a high school student and that that court turned into a pickleball court. And it's like, well, great. Now I got to stay at school longer. I got to find a ride back to the school to practice. I'm just thinking of like myself that many years ago, how I would have felt. But I understand that it is something that can attract more people to the community. But I also see Kimberly's point where it's like, are we pushing out our own community to bring in a different type of community? So I'm torn. I don't know really which way I would go at this point.
Did you also mention that there was some tennis courts at the Jackson Park, South Jackson?
Yes.
Where are they closer to?
Right close to Davis Field there. They're on the north side of the parking lot.
What would be maybe recommending moving, I guess maybe the Miles Park one and try to get numbers for the South Jackson Park. So I don't know how that would work, or what do you commission things? If maybe we can go ahead and do that, maybe that would be possible, because that's the council wants a recommendation, right? They haven't. It was just was it a decision for these two parks? Right?
They were just recommended, and they that's the only ones they got pricing on. We can and if you want to amend the what you're proposing, you can certainly do that and just keep Miles Park at this point. As far as what you guys recommend and not do Patton Park, I can certainly pass that on to whoever's going to take this to council, as that the Community Service Commission recommends yes on Miles, but no on Patton Park. Now, they might still go forward, right? That's just what our recommendation is, but I'll put that in if that's something you want to do. I know they want to get going on these as soon as they can. So looking at another park, I can certainly bring that up as well, but just depends on how fast, they want to get going on this.
I think that my recommendation would be to get prices for Coachella Park and South Jackson Park, and then have a little bit of a better idea what would be the best financially for the city, right? And then also with the best interest of our residents. So if we're able to, how would we proceed about this? Can we table this item? Or how do we proceed? Do we make a motion with an actual recommendation?
Yeah, that's probably what I would recommend. Yeah.
Okay. So motions. We'd need a motion if you all agree with getting prices for these two other parks.
Yes, I second that motion.
Go through the whole, you got to make a motion.
Mm-hmm.
So we make a motion to look for other parks and bring the estimate for other parks. And that's going to be our recommendation, and choose two parks eventually.
Second.
I'll second that.
So just for clarification, you're motioning to go back and look for prices. You're not approving Miles Park or Patton Park. You just want estimates on other parks.
Correct. On Coachella Park and South Jackson.
Okay. At this point, Mr. Curtis, would you like to continue this item to the next meeting?
We can do that. I just don't know if council will vote. I know they're not voting tomorrow night, so there's nothing on that agenda. So I think we meet before they do.
October 5th.
October.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
We
the
don't
20th.
meet before that. So we meet on the 19th next. So if it's on the October 5th agenda for city council, then we don't have a recommendation.
Okay. How would you like to proceed?
We'll table it for our next meeting, but it might not even come up then.
Okay. So
'cause
this
we
will be
don't have-
continued to your October meeting.
Or can we have a special meeting?
I'll see if it's on, if it's on the agenda and if we can get it all together.
Yeah, but just don't want to hold on this to move to next one.
Yeah,
so-
that's what I don't want to happen. I don't want your recommendation to just kind of go sideways, and not because Coachella Park and South Jackson weren't brought up at all with city council. So it sounded like they didn't want to even have an interest in looking at those two spots. One, because Coachella would be a brand new park. So it's a whole new everything, and the cost on that would be a lot. And then no interest on South Jackson because they want Miles is more centered for the city. and they were looking at a north side and a south side. The only place on north side would be, that's not an existing fenced in court, would be Patton Park.
Yeah, and we don't want to actually hold this project. We want to understand we want to have more people involved in it, and we start this process early. If we can communicate by emails before that day, maybe you send us something, and we just do this ahead of time.
Yeah, it might not even be on the October 5th agenda. It might be, I don't know.
But if it is going to be in their agenda, so at least we have something to come up, and at least we don't want to move, lose a whole month for this one.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, so we'll table as of now.
So do we need to vote on the motion?
No.
Okay. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and table item 7.1, move on to 7.2, approve and recommend to the city council to install a Mutts by the artist Owana Stanescu artwork from the 2022 Coachella Music and Arts Festival at Miles Park.
Thank you. That'd be me again. So they're looking at if you saw Coachella or went to Coachella this year, there were some huge art pieces. I had a couple pictures that I put on there that, if you remember them, huge dogs, one I think leaning down, and one standing up, and there was a kind of some plants and some greenery around it. And it was pretty popular at the Coachella Music and Arts Festival. So there has been discussion with our city manager, talking to the artist director of Golden Voice, and possibly bringing that to us somewhere. The artist did look at Miles Avenue Park and liked the annex area on possibly putting that artwork there. As you know, we do have GV Coachella artwork at Dr. Carrion Park. We have artwork from Coachella at Horse Park, and we have, is that it? I think that might be all the artwork that we have from.
And then just downtown.
Oh, and then the cacti right here. Right. That was the one I was missing. Cacti downtown. So they are looking at bringing that in. I don't know. I haven't been into those discussions. So all I know is they wanted me to bring it to you guys to show you the pictures and get a recommendation and approval to go into Miles Avenue Park. As you know, Miles Avenue Park, as you mentioned before, has been kind of a place where people were not looking to go to because of the safety. But if we activate it more and do more, which is one of the things that we talked about a lot with our commission, to activate those parks, to get people to those parks and not say, security's not good or safety's not good. Our job is to get people to those parks. And we're trying to bring things to those parks like pickleball, the artwork, and other things to Miles Avenue Park, to activate that park, to keep it for the community. Obviously, we spent a lot of money on lights for soccer there as well. So we're looking to get people into Miles Avenue Park and actually into downtown. And this would just be one more thing to bring people downtown, like the cacti that we brought in over here.
Before I open up for comments, is there any way that we can put these images up on the screen? If at all possible. Commissioner Scarborough Echo, any comments on this item? Questions?
I like the idea of bringing stuff to Miles Avenue Park. Like Jim just said, we always talk about we need to activate it. And I think I haven't seen much going on there since I was like in elementary school, and that's quite a while ago. So yes, I agree with bringing art to Miles Park.
Vice Chairperson Ordian?
It's always nice to have art pieces, because that's it's inner education and for kids, for our generation. So I'm for it. So have these nice pieces at the parks.
Commissioner Phillips Martinez?
I love the pieces. Is there any, I can't tell from the pictures, Jim, is that live plants that are in there?
It was, yeah.
So is there any associated maintenance cost, or is facilities worried about any kind of maintenance on those items?
I don't think the discussions have been that far yet. I don't know what the cost would be yet on bringing those pieces there. I don't know anything about that. They were just looking at a location at this point. But it was live during the festival.
Yeah. I think the location is well selected. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you. I do like the location as well. I believe that we're investing little by little in our parks, right? With these art pieces. And I mean, talk about the Dr. Carrion one, how spectacular that looks. Even, you know, it's just eye candy as you drive by, right? And like I've always mentioned, every time I do drive by there with my children, it's like, can we get off? Can we get off, please? And so I want that for all our parks. I want to be able to drive through the parks and, can't, hold my 9-year-old in the car because he wants to get off and go play. And that it also makes for beautiful pictures and, just beautifying our community all around. Some of the questions I know that I'm not sure if you do have answers to these. You mentioned that you don't know the timeline of when this would come in.
Correct. Till now.
Okay. Has it been approved to be installed there?
No.
Or okay. And are these pieces currently at the polo field?
They're in storage at the polo grounds in their art boneyard.
Okay. And are we looking at like an agreement for how many years?
Don't know if we've gotten that far yet either.
Okay. Alrighty. I like the idea of having it there at Miles Park. If at all possible, let's bring it back to the commission of like the location, or even if, I suggest that we walk the park. I visited often with my children. I do recommend that you walk it. And if there's a specific spot that you believe would look best at, bring it forward to Jim's attention. Hopefully, and that he can include that as we move forward. At the moment, I need a motion to go ahead and approve and recommend this.
We'll go ahead and approve having this art pieces at the Miles Park.
Need a second.
I'll second the vote.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Ordian and a second by Commissioner Phillips Martinez. For roll call, Phillips Martinez.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarborough Echo.
Aye.
Vice Chair Ordian
Aye.
and Chairperson Barraza.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All righty. Good stuff. Item number 7.3, discuss and recommend a new location for the 2022 Indio Tamale Festival at Miles Park.
That is me again. Thank you very much. I was going to say that I will bring the pricing and timeline for that last back to you guys when we get more information. I'll do that at our next meeting if that's available. So Tamale Festival, 30th year for the Tomati Festival coming up this year. Out of those 30 years, there was 1 year that it went to Miles Avenue Park in 2001, I believe that was, and then came back to downtown. I was not here, so I'm not sure why it moved to Miles Avenue Park, but we didn't really have the annex at that time. It was really just in Miles Avenue Park. I did hear some comments that it was too crowded because it was a lot of people, and it was just the park itself, not the annex. So as you know, and if you've driven around downtown, you see that there's a lot of construction going on downtown. The promoter that has signed a 3-year agreement, last year being his first year, was very concerned about having it downtown this year and possibly next year with the construction going on. As you know, we used a lot of empty lots around the downtown area, and those empty lots are great that it's happening. Construction on new buildings, new properties, new restaurants, new breweries, things like that are going to be happening downtown. It's just not inviting right now the way it looks. It's fences, it's cones, it's detours. But the most important thing is that we just don't have the space downtown right now because of the construction. The COD area is under construction that we use for stages and some vendors last year. The boneyard for the COD construction is where we had the carnival last year. The area that they had the second stage where Hotel Indio used to be south of Miles Avenue and just west of Smyr will be under construction with the new living room concept that you probably heard about, that they're going to be putting in a temporary stage and things that will be fenced off is what I'm being told. The area north of that, which is where they have the second Saturdays, was the Tamale Plaza. That Vallarta was a big player for that. The construction of the store right there where the that one restaurant was in right before it went out of business. It was a food truck park, I think it was called, right? They're going to be using some of that area that the food truck parked as well. So some of that area will be coned off as well and fenced off. Obviously, behind the buildings on Miles Avenue Park, they're starting construction on the restaurants and doing some things on the inside of the restaurant, but the fencing on the outside is there. So the promoter wants to do this Tamale Festival better than he did last year. It was good last year, and he promises to be bigger and better every year. And this year, and possibly next year, it just won't happen. I'll be bringing back next year because where the main stage was for the Tamale Festival, if you remember, right here along Town Street, that whole grass area is going to be in construction starting in probably February or March, and that'll be 2 years. So that will not be available as well. So it could be a 2-year deal for Tamale Festival moving, but it just wasn't a good location to have it right now. We did look at other locations with the promoter, went to the fairgrounds, beautiful, a lot of space, fenced in, parking was good, but just didn't get the Tamale Festival feel because you think you're at the fair, right? Because it's been the fair there for 75 years. We also looked at Empire and El Dorado Polo Grounds, and those areas just were a little too south, I think. Nice big area for sure, but again, bringing people downtown is what we're charged with, and obviously having IPAC and Desert Theater Works and these restaurants and these breweries going in, and COD coming in, and having a COD Child Development Center close by as well, just makes it to have people keep coming downtown, just like we talked about in the last my last little presentation. So they're looking at moving it to Miles Avenue Park, using the annex as well. They did some mapping. The promoter did some mapping, and it's a big space, and he's going to use all of it for stages and carnival and the Mercado and everything else that they had here at the Tamale Festival, just bigger and better. We did have a concern about parking, but you look at our Tamale Festival here, we don't really have parking here either. People are parking down, in the housing units, anywhere they can find parking. We did have shuttles from the Larson Justice Center, and that will happen again if it goes to Miles Avenue Park. So we do have the overflow parking for there. But again, it's just, a great park that we want to bring people downtown, and it's a great area that needs to be utilized. And that's what they would like to do. And that's what we want to recommend, I hope, unless there's other issues, to council. And that's all I have. Questions, please.
Commissioner Scarborough, Echo?
No questions. Just, I think Miles Avenue Park is a great idea. And I know that you were saying in 2001, they felt like it was crowded, but again, we didn't have the annex, but I actually kind of like the idea of it being more crowded. It feels more community based. I think sometimes it's a little too spread out for me. That's my opinion. I don't know, maybe that's a millennial thing, but I don't mind it. So I'm going to go ahead and approve that.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chairperson Ordian?
Looks like we don't have other choice. We have to be on a Miles Park. So it's great to have in that place. The only thing is, when we promote this event, we want to make sure, taking consideration that a lot of people from LA or Orange County come in here. So we want to make sure they don't drive here to downtown. And that's probably on organizers. They have to have a proper advertisement, emphasize the fact that it's been moving to a different place. So that's the only concern. But yeah, I mean, it's a great place to be there. So we just want to make sure at the time we don't have any issues with, people driving all the way down here to downtown, because it's been here for many years and people know by heart the locations. So I'll vote for it to be in Miles.
Commissioner Phyllis Martinez?
I think it's a great location. I think the Tamale Festival is definitely a downtown signature event. However, with the growth of downtown, I don't know how practical it would be to continue to close streets as they've done in the past on a continuing basis, with housing and restaurants and other activities happening. So I don't know that the location that it's currently in would be viable very much longer anyway. So I think relocating to Miles Park is for at least this year and next year, and seeing how it goes. Possibly returning it there as a signature event is a great idea.
Thank you. When will we know, when will the decision be made to move it to Miles Park?
tomorrow morning, once, if you recommend it.
Okay. I mean, I like the idea, right, as well. Just a few concerns, just making sure that it's accessible for people with wheelchairs, scooters, being on the grass. I know that that could be difficult for some. So just keeping that in consideration. I know that you mentioned parking, which was one of, my little notes here. Yes, people do park on like the streets, the housing, but then let's also try to identify actual parking, and maybe even if it's another route, not just from like the courthouse, but maybe some other like closer to downtown, and then taking them to Miles Park. Let me see. And then also if as soon as the mapping is ready, if you can share that with us, and then also include us in the process, as we move forward with this. Another thing to consider, if we move it to Miles Park, will we be moving the tree lighting ceremony to Miles as well?
No,
Okay.
that'll be staying downtown here.
Okay, because one of the conversations was having it tied, right? I know that it was mentioned that it could be a possibility where we can have the Tamale Festival start that evening and then kind of like just kick off.
He did with the promoter looking at Miles Avenue Park. He was talking about having market nights on Thursday and Friday at the festival site, where the carnival would be open, the mercado would be open, that you can shop and you can ride the rides. But the tree lighting is a different subject, but it looks like it's going to be by City Halls again.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that would be a great idea if we can have it there, right? And bring people and then kick off the Tamale Festival. The other thing, will the hours be changing?
Yes,
Okay.
they will be. They're not for sure right now, but he's looking to go in later on Fridays and Saturday nights.
Okay.
And then again, having Saturday and Sunday. But again, having Thursday and Friday open for a partial.
Are we considering also any, like the loud noise, any complaints from the residents nearby? I know there's like the senior residents, Palm and Miles, and then across the street from Miles Park, you also have those apartments. And have we had any conversation, or are we anticipating any complaints from the residents? I know having it downtown, a lot of the businesses close early or they already know. And so that's not too much of a,
Yeah.
problem.
We're usually early on Tamale Festival. I don't believe we're going to be having, bands going until midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, but we will consider that for sure and mitigate as much as we can with the residents around that area, because they will be impacted. So we'll be talking to them. I'll have to talk to them.
Mm-hmm. I live 3 blocks away from the Tamale Festival and I can hear the music at my house. So I can't imagine if it was right in front of my house.
Yeah.
To the only
Right?
solution.
And then that open space, right? It also makes a difference in comparison to having these buildings here that mitigate some of that noise. So those are things to consider. The other, if you could just keep us posted if they decide not to move it to Miles Park. One, suggestion would be maybe going further east here in downtown, right? Staying away from the major constructions and pushing it to Jackson a little bit more. We do have other empty lots. And so that's another possibility. And that would, not cause some of the issues with the actual residents. I'm concerned with the residents. Just, I kind of don't like it when people use up all the space in front of my house when they park, right? But I understand, but it's difficult with children, like having to drag them across the street. And so I believe that I have, the residents in mind, just making sure that they'll be able to, leave their house okay, come back, the noise, just people, trash. Those would be my concerns. And if you can, make sure that the organizer and whomever is working on this site plan, just keep those things in mind. And if we can invite them to our next meeting to give us, a briefing, because it would be October, we'd be looking at just like the month of November before the event. All righty. So do we have a motion to go ahead and discuss and, well, recommend?
Chairperson, really quick.
go
Jim,
ahead.
so if for some reason Miles Avenue Park didn't work out, is there a backup or is there no backup?
The only backup would be keeping it downtown here.
Okay,
Yeah. And utilizing the spaces that we have.
okay. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the new location at Miles Avenue Park for the 2022 Indio Tamale Festival.
I'll second the motion.
Commissioner Phillips Martinez,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarborough Echo,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ordian,
Aye.
I apologize, Chairperson Barraza.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All righty. So let's move on to item number 8, department updates. Let's go ahead and start with Vice Chairperson Ordian, Parks and Open Spaces.
Yeah, there's no updates today.
Commissioner Scarborough Echo.
The golf course, the only thing I was going to ask Jim, are we overseeding in October, right? That's the only
Yes.
thing. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, I didn't know. The dates are October. He just sent it to me here. October 3rd, reopen October 27th.
okay. That's basically it, but there's still good traffic there. I mean, I guess people are saying September is a good month to play, so there's still a lot of play going on, but okay. So now we know that it is closed in October.
Commissioner Phillips Martinez.
The Indio Performing Arts Center is continuing to grow as their season continues. They're currently producing Southern Fried Nuptials, and then they go into The Miracle Worker, which is being presented in one of the other theaters that is now under construction and being converted. So there will be 3 operating theaters and 1 rehearsal theater. So that's currently being done at the time, and we're looking forward to a fantastic season. Oh, the Indio Performing Arts Center will also be used as a voting location and as a vote by mail drop-off location this year. So I'll have more information about that next month.
Those are great news. And I guess happy National Voter Registration Day. If you are not registered to vote, or if you change address, change names, go ahead and update your information. Although here in California, you can do it all the way up until Election Day, but save yourself some time and do it now. For me, with these special events, I've been asking for a list of events and the status of them. I want to make sure that what we present here in the commission and it's shared with us is a good list of the things that are going on. I know that it's not something necessarily that we're going to approve, but I think that it's important, again, to be informed. I don't have a list of events, but I asked, and what I think would be helpful would be, as these events are coming in, I know we will not be able to hold them for approval by the commission, but at least having an actual update. I know Jim does give us updates, verbal updates, but I'm more visual and I like reading. So if you can provide a list of upcoming events and maybe even where they fall along the, the status, if they requested a date, if they've been approved, if it's in the works. I think it's important as the commission is making recommendations to be able to have that information and not, be presented to us just during a meeting and then the following meeting, there's no follow through and it's just, an update. So that's, it might just be my personal opinion, but I'm not sure and if that's the same of the other commissioners, but I don't have any updates on special events. Let's go ahead and move to item number 9, park updates. Let's go ahead and start again with Chairperson Ordian. He covers Yucca Park, Shields, and North Jackson Park.
We in the morning when we started, it was recommended that we actually don't update information about the parks. And
Okay.
The only time we're going to operate if there is any issues or something, we can reach out to Jim directly and then we can bring it up. But it's recommended by Commissioner Phillip. So
that would begin next month. But yeah, I don't have any updates on mine this month either.
Okay. Commissioner Scarborough Echo?
I don't have any updates either.
Okay. Maybe also, Jim, if you can, and I didn't see it on the agenda, so I'm not sure if it's going to be under your update. It's also what happened with Dominguez Park, the basketball courts, the art that was going to be painted on. I noticed that the cones were removed. And so I guess it didn't happen.
Right.
And so if you can include that, with my parks, I cover South Jackson and Dr. Carrion. They are, which is not a bad thing necessarily. We do see folks out there, some families, but not too much. But you know, we're moving in the right direction. One of South Jackson, of course, needs a little bit more attention, or you know, we have those shade structures that have been there maybe before I was born, which was just like 20 years ago. Just kidding. It's a few, and so you could tell those were maybe 70s, 80s. And so that's another park that needs investment. I know that there might be some hesitation in other plans, potential plans, in collaboration with the Desert Recreation District and the Poly Pool. But I think that those neighborhoods and overall the residents of Indio need better parks. And I think that the city, that we're in good standing where we can actually invest. I know that even some of these things that we're working on, like bringing art pieces, are not that expensive or, you know, to the city. And so I look forward to continuing these investments and being part of it, and also looking for other ways to make sure that we don't have an inequality of services within our parks, especially because they're very noticeable in comparison, or they're very noticeable within the communities that they're at. I'm not sure if it's just those that use those parks that deteriorate the park, or if it's that they're not being maintained as well as other parks in nicer neighborhoods. So I think, me personally, that's one of the things that I would like to see, right? Making sure that we're investing in these parks, especially in like our poorer communities, because our kids deserve it. And, you know, just the future of the city depends on it. And I feel that working on simple things like parks will make a difference in our youth and our senior community, just the city overall. Let's go ahead and move on to item number 10, which is the updates by Jim Curtis, Community Services Manager.
Thank you very much. Real quick on the event calendar. Last Thursday, the event calendar was finished. It has all the shows at IPAC. It has all the events that we know of right now onto it. It was sent to staff on Thursday. I will send that out to you guys tomorrow, but I was kind of waiting to see if there were any changes after it went to staff on Thursday. So it's not public. We don't put that on our website at public because we have our own calendar for that, but it is an internal calendar that we all can use. IPD, Brian was telling me they met this morning about all the events that were on that event calendar. So I'll share that with you guys tomorrow, because Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, I should have gotten some comments back if there were any issues and things like that. So I'll get those out to you.
Thank you.
A couple of things coming down the pike here. There's an event going on at the Empire Polo Club, starts September 30th. You might have saw the advertisements and things on Facebook. It's called Beyond Van Gogh, the Immersion Experience. Starts September 30th, and it's going to be at the Forum 10 at Empire Polo Club. That's a private event that's ticketed as well, but they don't need any public services from the city. The farmers market comes back on Sunday, starting October 9th. It'll be every Sunday, Sunday morning, October 9th, it comes back. So it'll be outdoors across here again on Town Street. That starts October 9th. The night before, October 8th, is our second Saturday event for October. The barbecue festival is scheduled for the golf course on November 5th. So that is coming back as well. The fairgrounds are doing more and more events, as is Empire Polo Club. So these aren't events that are done by the city. So there's nothing that we can recommend or approve and things like that. But they are events that we need to be aware of for police services, fire services, and just our general knowledge of the events that go on. I did put some of those onto the event calendar. I don't have the final numbers and times for the Polo Club events. When those come out, I'll add those to the calendar and resend those as soon as we get information back from the Polo Clubs. I want to give Brian a little time to talk about IPD.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Good evening, Chairperson, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. Just wanted to say what a great meeting you have tonight. You highlighted a number of art pieces that you're going to integrate into the parks. I take you back to the Dr. Carry-On Park. What a beautiful transition that we as a city and a community have done. There was a lot of work behind the scenes, and I can tell you just from my personnel, my officers, they see an incredible increase in activity out there. There's people doing physical fitness, walking in the morning, sitting. We see a lot more children out there. There's just a lot more activity. I think it has attracted many people from within the community and even outside the community because of that art piece. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to the city. What a nice park in transition. I hope that continues, and seeing what you have planned tonight, it's definitely going to continue down that path. With that, October 4th, I want to just highlight October 4th, National Night Out. It's an opportunity to come out, meet your neighborhood watch groups, police and fire. We're going to have a number of vendors out there, whether food vendors, drink vendors, and a number of static events, whether it's the SWAT team, it's the K9 team, it's a community outreach team. It's just a great time to come out and meet your public safety professionals here in the city of Indio. So I invite you all out. It starts at 6 p.m. and it goes to 8:30 p.m. October 4th. So thank you.
Brian, is there anything that the commission can help? I personally, let me know, right? I will be participating, but let us know if there's anything, just working together. You have 4 folks here that I'm sure, would be more than happy. So let us know.
Definitely. Most definitely. Thank you.
Of course. Jim.
My last thing is just I'll bring back at our next meeting for your approval the DRD agreement to have them programming our parks, not fully take over our parks, but I think I mentioned this before, to program our parks. I'm almost done with the draft agreement, so I'll have that and I'll get that kind of looked over, then bring it back to you guys before we move forward. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Any closing comments from commissioners? No? All righty. Let's adjourn this meeting at 6:43. Thank you. Have a great rest of your great evening.